At Direct Service Garage Doors, we are your one-stop shop for all things garage door. From garage door repair and broken spring replacement to new garage doors and openers, we do it all. We're proud to be among the highest-rated local garage door companies in all of Central Arkansas. Our highly trained technicians are available 24 hours a day at no extra cost to you. So if you have an emergency, call us today, 501-244-3667, or visit our website at directserviceoverhead.com. Don't wait days. We'll fix it now.
All right, everybody, welcome. Happy Monday. Ugh. I hate saying that, but yeah, we're here anyways, right? Some bad weather possibly on the way. So Northwest Arkansas, beware. Bad weather on the way, possibly tomorrow night, so just a heads up. Let's do this. 3, 2, 1. Yo! I did that a little early, and we're a little early this morning. We're a little bit earlier. We're about a good 15 minutes earlier than normal. So for those of you coming in late, or maybe you missed the live, you were expecting me to go live at 11. Went live at about 10:45. I'm not gonna lie to you. I don't know how long this show will run for, and I'm starving. I got an oil change on the car this morning, and I had to run to Walmart. Didn't have time to eat breakfast. I'm starving. I got some. I bought myself some quality meats for lunch. I'm looking forward to it. Looking forward to lunch. Hey, shout out to Patreon supporters. I appreciate each and every one of you guys. I'm not able to do what I'm able to do. What I do here without you guys, and really do appreciate you. Whether you're a part of that's OBS. Whether you're a part of the, if you're you're $4 or you're $8 plus, you're part of the $8 plus club. Regardless, I appreciate each and every one of you guys. I told you guys in Discord yesterday, if anyone who's a Patreon subscriber, Patreon member, and you're in our Discord, I gave you guys quite the heads up on a certain commit on Mr. Jeffcoat. I gave you a heads up. It just came a little bit earlier. I had been told it would possibly be Monday. It would have to be Monday, and if it were to be Monday, it'd be really early Monday morning. Didn't even think about Sunday night being a possibility. So here we are. But Arkansas gets a big-time commit. We're going to get prepared for Arkansas and LSU, of course. First off, shout-out to Direct Service Overhead, the garage door company located in Northwest Arkansas and in Central Arkansas. Same-day services, quality parts, affordable outcomes, free estimates, by the way. All provided for you by Direct Service Overhead, the Garage Door Company. Give them a call, 501-244-3667. Listen, we got that snow on the way, all right? You got that snow on the way. It's going to freeze your if you're not careful, that snow's going to sneak in. If you've got, like I do, where you've got the indention in the front of your garage door and snow finds its way in, it could happen. Just heads up. And it's going to be cold. Rain finds its way in. I really got to get that. It's in the works. Those of you who've been around a minute, I've been talking about turning that garage into a studio. We might be heading that direction sooner than later. So, yeah, Direct Service Overhead will absolutely be the phone call that I make. Apex Tattoo Studio. They, like we said, they've moved to 201 South 19th Street, Suite P in Rogers, Arkansas. Walk-ins are welcome. They're offering tap-out sessions for up to $1,000. If you mention Ty Hudson or Tuss Talk with Ty, you get 10% off. Hit them up. There's a website provided for you down below if you want to give them a call to get some more questions answered on the matter. 479-278 or 278 2694. And then, of course, to Odd Soul, located on Emma Street here in Springdale, Arkansas. Craft bar, pizzeria. If they don't have it on tap, by God, nobody has it on tap. They've got some great local IPAs and wonderful pies all made right there inside their bar. It's fantastic pizza. Fantastic pizza. Okay, we got the pleasantries out of the way. $1.99 super chat. Go Hogs. Let's have a good week. Yeah, Arkansas needs to have a really good week. Arkansas needs to have a fantastic week talking about basketball right now. Transfer portal's closed. If you're asking what's next, you're going to have to wait till the beginning of May. So no more transfers. I think it's 8 spots, possibly 7. I think it's 8. Again, don't quote me on that. But yeah, that's we'll see what their plans are there. It's kind of up in the air at the moment. I've had one person tell me they think that they may just leave some of those spots open, and it wouldn't shock them if going into fall camp that they don't leave some of those spots open. Maybe they're going to hand them out to some walk-ons. Maybe they're going to hand out some schollies. I don't know. I've also been told by someone else, nope, they're going to fill all those spots in May. So I don't know. They grabbed a couple after spring camp last year. Jordan Dominic and Matt Landers, I think, were 2 of them that came in after the spring. So, yeah. William Watkins with the $10 super chat. Woo, damn pig, he says. Absolutely. Appreciate the super chat, boys. Look at that. We're kicking off the Monday the right way. All right, let's get into this basketball matchup. Arkansas, LSU, really quick. LSU, I'm just going to come out and say it, man. You cannot afford to lose this game. And not because LSU's bad, but my goodness, after this game, it's a tough stretch. Nobody is expecting you to go into Baylor and win that game. Nobody. I know you're ranked. I know a lot of you think, well, but Arkansas is ranked. They're in the AP top 25 and should stay there, hopefully. Yeah, I don't know right now that just doesn't matter. Where are you as far as what kind of caliber team are you? Are they a top 30 team? Are they capable of going into Baylor and finding a way to win? Sure. Of course they are. And we do got to take it a game at a time. But I feel like if they do beat Baylor, that's going in there and sneaking one out. Oh my goodness! You talk about you talk about an oomph in the right direction, a step in the right direction. Arkansas's a much needed. First off, Ole Miss was a much needed win, no doubt. No matter how ugly that game got in the first half, and I know people came in after the fact, after the live show. We had commenters saying, "Never happy." Did you watch the first half of that game? Listen, who you play and how well you play against who you play absolutely matters. Ole Miss is a piss poor team. LSU's not much better. In fact, LSU is tied with the 1-6 record, a 3-way tie between them, Mississippi State, and Ole Miss. LSU's 12-7 on the year. Ole Miss isn't a good team. Arkansas struggled. What I liked about in that game is they found a way to come back in the second half and make it work. They found a way in the second half to come back, make it work. They found a little bit of flow, a little bit of rhythm, even though it kind of fell apart there. They had a really big lead. Apparently, they got it up to 21 points. But LSU was able to chip away and make it into a somewhat interesting game there inside that 5-minute mark. And we've seen that happen before with Arkansas inside and outside of conference play. It was an odd game, but it was one that you're just happy. Yeah, you're happy you got the win, but it is worth noting that you should have won that game, and especially with the kind of talent, regardless of the injuries. That's the caliber of game where it's like it doesn't matter what, I mean, it does matter to a degree, but not having Trevon Brazile, not having Nick Smith, doesn't matter. You've got the better talent, and you're going to have the better talent against LSU. Now that Moneybags isn't the head coach at LSU any longer, you assume everybody's playing by the rules. You assume that. But LSU is still, I think, going to be it's going to be an interesting matchup. I think side by side. I don't know. Has LSU played Ole Miss yet this year? Have they played each other? Because I really don't know. I don't know who's better. On the surface, I would say LSU. But I really don't know. LSU's there's not a lot of strengths. I was looking at their numbers yesterday, doing some notes for the show, and kind of watching the Dallas Cowboys find another way to lose in the playoffs. My God, they haven't. Oh man, I feel for you Cowboy fans. I mean, I really do. I know during the season, Cowboy fans can be a little much, but the Niners are just that good. I'm starting to wonder if it's not going to be the Niners and the Bengals in the Super Bowl, both playing really, really good football at the moment. But well, of course they are. They're winning playoff games. You guys kept telling me the Bills. That's what you guys told me last year. It's going to be the Bills, Ty. Hell, you guys told me that last year going into the championships. It's going to be the Bills. Or going into the playoffs, I mean. It's going to be the Bills. They're the best team in the league. Oh, okay, sure. And I was hearing the same thing this year. And they got shit on, fam. What happened, bro? What happened? As my 8-year-old daughter would say, what happened, bruh? Look like shit at home. In snow. Isn't that like in their DNA? What the hell happened? I know the Bengals are a northern team, but the Bills, like, that's their reputation. That's why some people, when they go to Buffalo or they get traded to Buffalo, some players have talked about not really enjoying the weather because of the snow, because of how harsh those winters are. What the hell? You guys kept telling me, and I kept saying, I don't know. We'll see. Do they have it in them? There's something else to be said when you get to the playoffs. The Rams absolutely had it last year in the playoffs. I wasn't so sure they're going to win the Super Bowl, but I felt like they were going to win the Super Bowl. I felt like they were better than the Bengals because they were. I think the Rams were the best team in the NFL last year. They had some injuries along the way last year and still found a way, right? Losing Woods and then picking up OBJ, and then they lost OBJ in the damn Super Bowl. And I thought, oh, boy, and they found a way to win it. Sometimes you just have to have that be a part of your team. You got to have the ability to win these damn games. Boy, the Cowboys and the Bills. Oh, and I'm not gonna lie. Part of me wanted that matchup in the Super Bowl. By the way, Buffalo and Dallas. I did. A part of me really wanted that. Two fan bases that, like, you know, I mean, kind of picking up where they left off a little bit. Like, yeah, that would have been fascinating. That would have been a cool storyline. But yeah, so here we are. Anyways, getting back to basketball, I thought we'd throw in a little bit of playoff talk, but. Getting back to this game, LSU, I think on the surface is a better team. I don't know how much better than Ole Miss. Ole Miss does a couple things pretty decently, but LSU, yeah, man, again, they're same record. They're 1-6. Their only conference win is against you. So I guess right now you could make that as your argument. Well, yeah, their only win tie was against the Razorbacks. 60 points per game. They're one of the worst offenses in college basketball. I tried watching them play a couple times this year, and it's brutal. They are horrible. And of course, we watched them play Arkansas, and the Hogs walked into that environment and just, I don't know, it was early in the year. LSU fans still had hope in their heart. Maybe a little bit loud arena there, maybe, for those youngsters. I don't know. But they found a way to lose that game. They had no business losing to LSU. And I had a feeling at the time, this is rough, because I don't think they're very good. And here we are. We're coming into the middle of the season. We're coming in right into the middle of the season, and they are, or well, you're kind of beyond the middle of the season now, I guess, when you look at not just conference record, where we're at just overall in the regular season of college basketball. But here they are. They're one of the worst teams in the league, and they're one of the worst offenses. They're horrible to watch. They play decent defense. They only give up about 66, 67 points a game. I know they're near the bottom, or they're near the bottom half of rebounds per game. There's some things that there's a lot of things they just don't do well, especially on the offensive end of the floor. This should be a game, especially if they're talking about revenge. I know I saw Razor, who was a Devo, that posted that picture of some of the shit talking by the LSU players, talking about running through the smoke up here in Fayetteville, running Arkansas out of their own arena at Bud Walton Arena. Good luck with that, but there's no excuses to be made if you lose this game. There's no excuse, man. I know they're down now a third player going into this matchup, and injuries do matter, but LSU is a special kind of not good, especially on the offensive end of the floor. We know what we're in for. We know what happened the first time around, although this is a game I did not get to watch until the final minutes, the first time Arkansas and LSU played. But there's no excuses to lose this game. There's none. You ought to be favored. You ought to be favored by double digits. I mean, you really should. Even with your third player out now, possibly looking like a week for Mitchell. But no excuses. Arkansas still a better team. Still has more talent on the floor. Better head coach, in my opinion. I mean, for sure, right? I mean, come on. But, yeah, no excuses to be made, man. And Right now the basketball power index, of course, I know we're told not to look into that too much, and you shouldn't. But Arkansas is favored at 90%. I don't know that Arkansas's had a matchup all year. I don't know. Was Ole Miss 90%? I feel like it was like 85 or something. 90% favored, according to the BPI or the now matchup predictor, which is what ESPN's calling it. We don't have any numbers yet. We won't have numbers probably until tomorrow on the ESPN Pick Center. But, yeah, LSU, their only win at the moment is against the Arkansas Razorbacks in conference play. So, yeah. Again, I know we're early. Don't expect a lot of people, but I do appreciate you guys being in here. I don't know what's going on with the chat feed. It's lagging behind. Bill's got that ass whoop, says Paul. I'm telling you guys. You guys kept telling me Bills are going to do it this year. Bills are going to do it. Okay. If you say so. Ty, did you see that tweet from the LSU player? Yeah, I got printed out. I did, Aaron. I saw that. Talked about it a second ago. Hopefully it'll be a couple of years. Hopefully it'll be like a couple of years ago when LSU beat us game 1, then we routed them by 20 in game 2. You should. Arkansas is good enough that they should beat the living hell out of LSU. Absolutely. Allen will be this decade's Peyton Manning, great regular season and mediocre to below average postseason. Yeah. Yeah, I could see something along those lines for sure. It's kind of nice for the portal to be closed, not have to worry about keeping up with it. Yeah, and I hear that, but man, I absolutely there's not a window that I hate more than the May window. I hate that window so much. I hate that the portal opens up in May. Right after spring camp, you go through spring camp. Like how you have no idea who's going to enter that portal. Now, Arkansas has had success in the portal after spring camp. You live by the portal, you die by the portal, but you don't really have a choice. It's not really living and dying by anything. You don't have a choice. You have to operate within it because you're going to lose pieces to the portal. So you got to take what's out there after spring camp. But I absolutely hate it for teams. I don't know how, when you get prepared for spring camp, you go down your roster, you're going down your depth chart, you're filling it out, and then you practice, and I hate to keep using Mike Woods as an example, but he is a key example. How you have Mike Woods, who's going to be the premier player in that offense behind Treylon Burks, who's going to put up, you feel like, pretty good numbers. Another year in that offense with KJ and Treylon Burks beside you, and you leave for basically a neutral, like it feels like a neutral move. Well, at the time, OU was certainly on paper looked to be better. We know they had more talent, right? We didn't know the kind of season Arkansas would have. And, of course, I think when it was all said and done, Arkansas was a very good football team. I thought they were a top 15 team by the time it was all said and done. But should have been. If you're talking about, like, power polls, I'm not talking about rank. But he makes that move to Oklahoma, and he does that after spring. He takes up those reps. He takes up that spot. He takes up that position. Think about the other players that could have benefited from that. I absolutely despise that post-spring window, and I don't think it should exist. I really don't. I do not think it should exist. I think it ought to be closed off. I really think that window. I mean, I don't know. It's such a complicated discussion because you do have to consider these kids are going to school. They have to transfer their credits. There's only a certain window for you. I mean, you've only got the 2 semesters, right? You got fall and then winter. Like you have the pre. I used to call it the pre and the pre-Christmas, post-Christmas semesters. Like that, those are your semesters, and it's you have to deal with that as a student, and that's difficult. And then when you're told you can transfer, but your window is only maybe 2 weeks before spring camp or 3 weeks before spring camp, well, then that greatly limits your ability to pick up your credits and do what you need to do and transfer to the next school. Yeah, I mean, it does. It limits you, but I do think, listen, you're playing the game of college football, and that comes with it. If you're going to take part in NIL deals, if you're going to take part in just being able to play at this level, then it comes with some consequences. Like you can't just pick up and pick up your bag and move on to the next place, just like that. Like it ought to have. I mean, we've already got windows transfer windows that are only open for a certain point and period of time. Why have so many windows? Why have so many opportunities or so much time for those players to do that? I understand from the student perspective, there is something there that you have to take into consideration. I get that. But again, you're playing college football. Like, should you be given all these opportunities to hop in that thing and leave? I don't know. I think you should be given the opportunity. I just don't know that they should have this massive period of time where you could just hop in, hop out, and do what you need to do. I like that the NCAA is trying to make rules. I like that they're trying to say that, look, you can't move around so freely now. We're gonna, there's gonna be some limitations there. It's a step in the right direction, but it's not a big enough step. Again, I really think they need to narrow that window. And I think the post-spring camp window needs to be closed. I just don't think it should exist. I really don't. Like, that screws you over when you're talking, like, your spring camp is essentially your first fall camp with a giant break in the middle, with a huge break in the middle, and then you go into fall camp. I mean, that's in a coach's mind. Like, this is your time. You get 15 practices. Last year, don't quote me on the dates, sometime in March, you have this small window of time to work in your new guys, the guys that were able to make it and get on campus for spring camp, to make it into that semester, to take part in practice, to go through and just to feel the vibe of the team and what you have going on, only to then right after that, with no consequences. We're not talking about salaries like the NFL. We're not talking about trade agreements. We're not nothing like that. You could literally just pack your bags the day, just like who we just mentioned earlier did, the very next day after your final practice, after that 15th practice. See ya, I'm out. That's bullshit. That sucks, because now you're desperate and you're given a little more than, I think it's 15 days. I think it's May 1st to the 15th. Again, do not quote me on that. I think that's right. May 1st to May 15th. You then have that window to go in and make a move. And could you replace someone like a Mike Woods? They didn't that year. Not in the portal. I don't feel like they did. But they ended up still having a really good year. Like Treylon, obviously, they found a way to get to 9 wins. The offense was still effective. Treylon Burks was still Treylon Burks. They were still able to operate that offense. But I just always wonder, like, what could have been had Woods stuck it out. What's up, Oz? How you doing, man? What's up, Ty? Who we talking about? Or are you just talking in general? Well, we're kind of talking about the portal. Woods screwed himself too. He did. Going to Oklahoma, he was just another body. At Arkansas, he was top two. He was top two. He was going to be the guy behind the guy, right? And I think that year, not that it wouldn't. It's not like he would have put up 70 catches. He wouldn't have had more receptions than Burks, but he would have had a big impact on on what I think was a pretty high quality team, an opportunity to put Arkansas in a better position for a better bowl game. I like our chances of keeping pretty much everyone else with the new coaching hires. I would argue that would give me more. I've thought about it the opposite way, because none of these players have no idea what these coaches are like. They don't know what Dan Enos is like. These youngsters, anyone on the roster on the offensive side of the ball, they have no idea what they're in for with Dan Enos. They have no idea. They don't know what kind of offense. Like, they can look at what he did at Maryland, or they can look and see, like, maybe Sam will go over, like, hey, listen, 2015, he was great. 2016, we were really good. You can talk about that stuff, get these players hyped, but then it's something else entirely to go out and execute what he wants you to do in spring camp. Same goes on the defensive side of the ball and all the new faces over there. That's why I think it's imperative they keep certain individuals on the defensive side of the ball. And Deke is one of them. I think it's imperative that they keep Kennedy. To have that, those guys that help build the foundation still here. I think that's imperative. So I would argue it's the other way around. These even the older players who've been around, those are the guys you're probably most concerned about. Maybe your guys, they're not necessarily starters, but maybe they're two deep guys. Maybe they worked their way into the two deep, and now they're learning under a whole new system on the defensive side of the ball, and they're going through spring. No, I kind of feel like Arkansas, and this is just me, this is a kind of a gut feeling. I think they are going to get hit in the portal after spring. I do. I feel like I hope I'm wrong, and maybe I am. I feel like, especially on the defensive side of the ball, you might see some more. And I know someone's going to say, well, how the hell can you have more? My God, how many transfers are in the portal out of Arkansas? But I do. I think there's going to be maybe not a plethora and maybe not like a shit ton of players into the portal, but I think you're going to see some bodies hit the portal after spring. I do. So many new faces in the coaching staff, and especially when you're looking at these older cats or even the younger guys that were recruited by some of those guys that are gone. Yeah, that's just me. That's a gut feeling. That's not me hearing anything. That's not me knowing anything about any players being unhappy or whatever. It's just a gut feeling. I hope I'm wrong. Maybe I am wrong, but anything can happen. We know there's some tampering going on. You know that shit's going on. I mean, Dion got accused of it straight up by a coach out of Texas. Was it North Texas? We talked about that last week. Was it North Texas or Texas State? Someone already accused Dion of tampering after a player had transferred to their school. You just don't know, man. You never know. Never say never. And like I've said 100 times, with college athletics, nothing surprises me anymore. At least with the NFL, you're talking about trades. You're talking about trade deadlines. You're talking about meeting the cap. Things that you can kind of see and kind of predict. With college football, man, and especially with how much more corporate college football feels, college athletics, how corporate, how everything is, I think they try to be more tight-lipped. Now, they're not always, because stuff does leak, but they try to stay more tight-lipped about it. There's a more corporate feel, a more corporate response to everything. But at the end of the day, it's still college athletics. You're still dealing with 17, 18, 19-year-old kids. But if you wanted me to put money on it, I think they do end up with some more guys in the portal after spring. Because you just don't know. There's no way of knowing. And with all the newness, with all the new coaches, listen, I'm sure not everyone will agree with that, and that's fine, but I don't know. You're too negative. Thanks, Jimmy. I still have a feeling we're going to lose a running back. That's always possible. I feel pretty good. I mean, Arkansas had quite a bit of success on the ground under Dan Enos. I think if you're looking at if you want to look at the numbers, what Dan Enos, how effective he was as a play caller, he himself will probably tell you 2015 is one for the books for him. I mean, they crushed it. Their run game and pass game was very effective. I don't know. I mean, it's possible, sure. I mean, who's the third running back, right? Like, is it AJ Green? We know you feel really good about Rocket, right? AJ Green's been the guy. He's been the backup. We'll see. We'll see. You've got this new guy coming up from Florida who I'm really big on. Oh, my God. Augustave. I love saying that cat's name. I'm sure that's not how you pronounce it, but that's how I'm going to pronounce it. Augustave. Just sounds fun. And spring practices are tough, and players inevitably get butthurt from tough coaching. Yeah, and they have this convenient exit open up right in front of them. Yeah, with absolutely no perimeters. There's nothing to convince them. Hey, I mean, a coach could talk to them, but Sam Pittman's admitted himself. Sometimes these cats just go into the portal, and that's it. That's that. They don't hear from them. It just sucks. Again, it's a mess. I don't know the answer to the solution. I feel like we are getting closer and closer to a NFL-type model. We're going to have to. And no, listen, if the schools do start playing – someone made this comment on Twitter. I don't remember who it was, but they said for people who think that schools paying players is going to make the NIL go away, no. Now, that wasn't aimed at me, but that's not what I'm saying, and most of the people I've talked to and that I know, they're also not saying that. No. But it might have an impact on whether or not they can just move around so freely, right? It's going to have an impact. If they've got to sign some kind of contract, now you can't do that to a minor. You got to be 18 or up. Wouldn't surprise me in some states if it's like 21 and up. But, you at least have some perimeters in place where it's like you're here, Your freshman year, you're going to get redshirted, okay? Let's say at like a place, well, let's say like Arkansas, a quarterback. You sign Jacoby Criswell out of free agency, right, out of the portal, which is, I guess, in that era would be just more or less free agency. You sign him, assuming he's able to get out of his North Carolina deal. Then you sign him to a deal. You sign him to a 2-year, unless, and of course, there'd be a stipulation in the contract that says unless going pro. Unless you're going pro. Now then you get to determine like how much money is this guy going to get paid. Maybe you could keep him from going pro. You're not going to be able to. You're not going to keep him out of the pros. I mean, the money and the opportunities are vast, and the money opportunities. But let's just using that as an example. Whereas now, or you look at Malachi Singleton. You sign him to a deal. Your first year on campus, we're going to redshirt you because you're a quarterback. You're a freshman. We're going to go with KJ and Criswell. And then, guess what? Your redshirt freshman year, you're 18. Now you could start talking about contract negotiations. Now you could talk about, well, here's a 2-year deal. Here's a short-term 2-year deal on your contract. And this way you're at least keeping him, well, I mean, you're keeping him here for a couple of years. There's still an opportunity to leave, but someone's going to have to come in and buy out your contract. Now you've got something to move around with a little bit. You can kind of forecast a little bit better with your roster and your depth chart because of contracts, because of these things that are in place for players. And, now you can have agents. I guess now, and I did not know this. I heard Rick Schaefer say this. He was talking about, it makes sense because Nick Smith. Because Nick Smith has an agency that he deals with, right? And they're based out of L.A. Found that out 2 weeks ago. But I guess you can essentially hire an agent. So now you got to go through a proxy. Now you got to go through their agent. That's where we're headed. We're already there. Like, we're already there. People are like, I hate this. It's bad for college athletics. I think there is a way where we can head to a place maybe 5-10 years from now where we understand the model and it's easier to forecast for coaches, for coaching staffs, for players, for fans. It's easier to kind of forecast and have a better idea of what's going on, because right now it is straight up the wild west. NIL dictates everything. You need to have something in place, and I think paying players might be that way, where you're able to negotiate with these players, where the NIL doesn't dictate where these guys are headed. So let's segue to the next part of this show. Let's talk about who they just picked up and why, one of the possibilities why you're able to pick him up. Arkansas gets a really big land out of the portal. I'm trying to get all of his numbers pulled up in front of me here really quick. Hang on. Here it is. I've got his PFF numbers and everything. Trajan Jeffcoat out of Missouri. 3-star prospect out of high school. He signed with Missouri, I think, 2018, I believe. Played 4 years. I think he's dealt with some injury issues. Academics are not an issue. This guy was like all SEC honor roll, like a couple of years, I believe, at Missouri. Smart guy, good head on his shoulders, good player. There have been some other, I don't know, I can't substantiate some of the other off-the-field rumors. I can't substantiate them. I don't know. What I understand is he's a good academic. He's good in the academics. He's a great player on the field. Okay, 2020 he was first team All-SEC. Treyhon Jeffcoat is a hell of a player. He's a hell of a prospect for Arkansas to land out of Missouri. He was rumored to end up at South Carolina. Well, supposedly one of the possibilities, and I, again, cannot substantiate if this is true or not, one of the possibilities of why he didn't end up signing with South Carolina, we've already seen this, so we don't even have to use this as a possible example. But the rumor was the NIL deal fell through, and then he wound up at Arkansas. Maybe they were able to get him as good or a better NIL deal. I don't know that was the case. We've already seen this situation with a Florida quarterback who was granted getting out of his LOI because the NIL deal fell through for however many millions of dollars. I mean, now I don't know if a school is going to be able to rival that. I don't know if you can pay. That will be the tough thing for these schools to deal with, because you can't offer a 17-year-old kid a contract deal. However, private companies can. I'm pretty sure, not contracts, but they can give you money. Now, I don't know. Again, I don't think minors can be locked into any kind of contract. You can give them money. You could pay them like having a job. Like I was able to go work for Taco Bell in 1999 at 16 years of age, right? But I don't know that you can give them an actual contract until they're at least until they're a legal adult. Maybe I'm wrong. We are talking about Florida after all. God only knows what the rules are down there. But I don't know. And even if it is legal, I don't know that it should be. I don't know that a kid should be able to, a 17-year-old, a minor, should be able to sign a contract. But anyways, that's another argument for another day. We've already seen this happen. So Trajan Jeffcoat, who's a big pickup for the Razorbacks, out of high school, he was 6'3", 220. He's obviously a little bit bigger. Looking at his Pro Football Focus, and now his PFF numbers weren't great from this last year. His pass rush grade was 62.1. That's a little bit above. That's probably about average for an SEC player, like an average, player. Not obviously you've got schools like Georgia and Alabama. They're going to have the higher graded players. Overall, his defensive grade is 58, but again, his pass rush grade is 62. Somehow he has a 65.2 coverage grade, but I doubt he was out in coverage much. He's 6'4", 274 now, according to Pro Football Focus. He'll be a fifth-year senior, I think. Again, 2020, first-team All-SEC, 6 sacks. Remember, he only played 10 games that year. He had a sack against Arkansas, if I remember right, in 2020. Had a good year. We know the possibilities are there. I think in terms of depth, this is a good get. But imagine if Mizzou had him locked in a contract deal. Now, of course, at that point, he's a super senior coming back. He may be out of his deal, and he would have ran off anyways. But South Carolina, one of the rumors, one of the first things I heard was that it was an NIL deal that had fallen through. I could not get that. The other individuals I rely on, I reached out to them. They heard it might be something else off the field related. Don't know for sure. Can't lock anything in. But it sounds like that could have been a possibility. And this NIL stuff, you have to have some way of countering it. If you can't put a cap on it, if the law, and nor should it, the government should not be able to come in and say, nope, you can't make that kind of money. Sorry. I'm sorry. I'm not for that. I'm not okay with that. I'm not okay with Uncle Sam coming in and telling you how much money you can make. Not cool with that. So that won't ever happen. You're going to open yourself up to litigation if you tried to do that. If a school or whatever tried to do that. But you have to have a way to counter it. And I think you do that through contract deals, through they're having a contract through the university and the school's paying these players. We know the kind of money these schools make. I'm a fan of the free market. Let it work. Let it work its magic. Now, it already has. By the way, for those of you who are so anti-NIL and you're so anti-paying these players, I got news. I've got some news for you. It's been going on. The cheating we know has been going on for decades. There's no stopping it. The NCAA clearly, I think they have tried, maybe not their best. Are the rules applied evenly? Of course they're not. Of course they're not. But I do think that the way you start putting in perimeters is you let these schools do their thing. You let these schools sign these kids that are of legal age, sign them into a contract, sign them into a 2-3 year deal with an option, an open-ended option where if the NFL comes calling, you're then let go of your contract, right? You don't want to lock those kids in until they're super seniors with a deal that could end up screwing them over while passing up the opportunity of going to the NFL. You give them an open-ended deal. It's more about not stopping, but at least putting a perimeter in from all this hopping around. I don't know. That's my answer. It's not a perfect solution because I don't think there is one. A lot of people outside these programs have a lot of say in what's going on these campuses in the athletic departments. You'll never get rid of that. But they probably do need to start modeling themselves more like the NFL. They've already opened up Pandora's box, so here we are. Anyways, whatever. Arkansas gets Trajan Jeffcoat. That's a big deal. That's why it's on the title of this video. That's why it's the thumbnail. I think this is a really big deal for Arkansas. You talk about having quality depth. This is adding quality depth. I don't know that he's going to come in and be the starter necessarily. He might. We'll see what happens. I think the plan is for him to be able to participate in spring camp. I think that's the plan. That's a big deal. That's another win, I think, for the defensive line. This is quality depth. This is how you go about adding it. Adding someone like Trajan Jeffcoat. I'm going to tell you, I've seen the screenshots. South Carolina fans are pissed. They really thought they had this cat locked up. They wanted Trajan Jeffcoat big time. He had some other offers. I don't know who they all were, but he had some other offers. I know Otis Kirk has a write-up on it. You can go visit. You can go check that out on Hogville. I think this is a quality depth kind of get. I think it's a big deal. They needed some more numbers along the defensive line. I don't think they're done. I think they're going to add more after spring camp. It wouldn't shock me to see them add maybe one or two more along the defensive line. I feel like the smart thing would be to add up at least bring in 6 more bodies after spring camp. I think that's going to be important. Like I said, I think they're going to lose more. I hope I'm wrong. Maybe I am. I feel like they're going to. Now, it could also be that these players absolutely love these new coaches. They vibe with them. They love the system. It's an improvement to them. Maybe nobody hops into the portal, and that would be fantastic. It'd be a huge win for Arkansas, unless you kind of trim some more fat. Maybe also that's something else to consider. Maybe the staff's like, why don't you go try the portal out? Because I don't know if you're going to be a good fit here. That could also be it too. It may not just necessarily be the players not liking the coaches. It could be the other. It could be shoe on the other foot, right? Trimming a little bit of fat. Maybe you can go out into the portal and grab somebody. But I do think the portal is going to be very active after spring camp. Even though I'm not a big fan of it, it's going to happen. You gotta play. Don't hate the player, hate the game. Talking about these schools, don't hate the schools. They're doing what they got to do. These are the rules that are provided for them with this portal. That's the window they have to work with. It's the window of opportunity, and you'd be crazy not to partake. I would be shocked if they don't try to add at least 2 more out of the portal after spring. They did it last year, and I fully believe they're going to do that again. I'm not buying that they're completely done out of the portal for 2023. Florida said $13 million. Rashada, the Florida quarterback, thought they said dollars. Mike and them says AP All SEC. Yep, in 2020 he was All SEC, second in the SEC in sacks behind only Will Anderson. Yeah, it's a good get. I think it's a good get for Arkansas. Hang on, let me refresh this. I don't know what's going on with YouTube Studio. YouTube Studio has just been trash. It's so far behind. I disagree, Ty. Let's see. I disagree, Ty. Coaches for years have screwed players over from over-recruiting and making the numbers work. What part do you disagree with? The more freedom the players get, the better. I don't know that it's better for the game, though, Elvin, because eventually what happens, if it's not better for the game, people start tuning out. And then what happens? NIL deals drop, revenue drops. You need to focus also on not just what's good for the players. Anybody who's watched me, anybody who's listened to me over the years, I am all about these players having the freedom and opportunity the same as anybody else. They should be able to take place in this market economy. They should be able to benefit off their NIL, off their name, image, and likeliness. I've been a fan of this since day one. I just wish they had more perimeters in place. If you're going to play college football and you're going to get all the amenities that come along with that, then you know what? The NCAA or these college football teams also should be allowed to have perimeters in place where the window of opportunity isn't just wide open all the time. I mean, Elvin, at what point should a player, you're saying player freedom, okay, should a player be able to transfer in the middle of the year and go play and be eligible for another team? Well, no, of course not. We have something in place that prevents that. Right? So what would be wrong with shrinking the window? I'm not saying to get rid of the window. I'm saying to shrink it. So I disagree, Elvin. I think the window should be shrunk. You're given an opportunity to play at this level. You're going to get benefits. If you're good enough, you're going to get NIL deals. And that's just the way the world works. It's not even, nor should it be. The world shouldn't be even because no one in their right mind believes that that's how anything should work. Nothing should be even. We can't all be equal. Some of us are born more gifted at some things than others. It's just the way it is. You can't force equality. What you can do, though, is you can provide as many opportunities as humanly possible, which I think college football and college athletics does. I just don't think there should just be this wide open window for players to step into anytime they want. It's not good for the game of college football. It's just not. You'll never convince me of that. Just like opt-outs. It's not good for the game of college football, but I'm okay with it because I do agree that these players have to look out, for themselves. They're losing out on an opportunity to make millions of dollars. Why risk that for one game? And those who do, oh my God, you tip the cap to them. It's like you're putting it all on the line, man. We've already seen players, big-time players, first-round prospects get hurt in the final games of the season or into the bowl game. I also think it's not good for college football. It's had an impact on bowl games. But on the flip side of that, I'm willing to meet people in the middle on that. I absolutely agree. Stephen Hamner from QB Spotlight, I've had a conversation about that. And he's all for it. He thinks players should and probably will have more players opt out in these bowl games. I've said I'm okay. I'm not okay with it, but I understand why they do it. It's not good for the game of college football. Well, guess what? It is having an impact on bowl games. I do think people are less. I do think there's a drop in interest in bowl games, and I think that's played a role in it. I also think the 14 playoff has had a lot to do with it. It's probably had the most to do with it, if I'm being honest. But no, I don't know how having a wide open window is good for college football. You're going to have to explain that one to me. I just don't agree. You should not be able to just hop in anytime you want and absolutely screw over an entire. You're not just screwing over the coaches. You're screwing over the cats that were behind you and the cats ahead of you. To be able to, at the drop of a hat, just walk into the portal anytime you want. No, I'm not. Nope, don't agree with that. Ty, will our offense be not huddle up tempo? Well, I mean, from what I could tell at Maryland, they're going to be up tempo. They are going to have RPO. There will be. I think it's going to be a multiple look on offense. I think it's going to be more multiple. We're going to get more of an answer from Enos and Sam Pittman, hopefully soon. I've said it countless times. At this point, a player shouldn't be able to transfer or have an NIL deal until they finish their second year. I mean, like I said, I'm not – listen, I don't know that there is a perfect plan out there that works for everyone. There's not one. But I'm not opposed to that either. Like, maybe you shouldn't be able to take place in NIL until your second year. Maybe you shouldn't. Maybe that's the route to go, and I think that's a good point by Haas. Games have rules. There should be rules for the players in the university. Exactly. 100%. I agree. Could you imagine if a top-tier receiver or defensive back could just switch Georgia or Alabama a week before the playoffs? Exactly. You have rules in place already. All I'm saying is keep the portal open, but don't keep it open year-round. And not that they do, but you only have certain time frames. The window should be shrunk. 110%. Enos has evolved with the times. He has. If you watch his Maryland – go watch Maryland video. He has. His offenses have adapted. It's an extra game for the player, but it's big money for the university. Yeah. What's Enos' age? He's 50. Hold up. 57? Is that it? 57? I don't know. We had a system that locked players into schools and coaches. Let's see. We had a system that locked players into schools and coaches had way too much power over where the kid could transfer. It was terrible. These coaches don't look out for the kids, nor do most fans. Yeah, and that system's gone. For the most part. And that was not a good system. He's 54, says Chris. Okay, 54. All right. Yeah, you can't. It's just like there's a rumor going around, too, that it might be illegal for contracts to be made up for coaches for no-compete clauses. I saw that somewhere. And that means now you won't, if this law passes, please go Google it. Don't take my word for it. But if the law passes, coaches will not be signed into no-compete clauses, meaning, I think the first coach we ever had that with, I think, was Petrino. We had a no-compete clause. But it was set up where he couldn't go anywhere in the West, in the SEC West. I'll be honest, I don't think that's right. I don't think that's right. Now, at the end of the day, it's up to you whether or not you negotiate that part of your deal or not. You don't have to accept it, right? So, I mean, should the government step in and say you can't do that? I don't know. I mean, they already do on some things. I don't know how I feel about that. But, yeah, I definitely don't agree with being able to hold a player back. I definitely do not agree that if a player wants to transfer from Oklahoma to Oklahoma State, given at the right time of the year, I think he should be given that opportunity. All I'm saying is that window should just not be as wide open as it is right now. All freshmen had to redshirt back in the day. They could not play. I'm not sure that isn't what – let's see. I'm not sure that isn't what is best for the game. Enos' daughter – oh, Lord. You almost got me on that one. I'm not going to read that out loud. I'm not going to get accused of misogyny on this show. Businesses make non-competes. Yeah, I think the government's trying to get away with it or trying to do away with it. I'd never sign a no-compete for anything. I wouldn't either. But that is on the table, right? I mean, for these coaches, and Arkansas's done it. Every SEC school's done it. They've signed their coaches to no-compete clauses. And I don't know that it's good for the game or not. I have no idea. I think everyone's first interest, I do agree players should look out for themselves just like the coaches should. And Jimmy Sexton's going to take care of them and himself. But we also need to understand we also have to take care of what's good for the game of college football, right? I think NASCAR is a really good example of that. NASCAR, who once was, and it may still be, I don't think it is, but it used to be the number one spectator sport in the country, in the United States, throughout the 90s. And they made some bad business decisions, whether it was selling from Winston Cup to Nextel, and they made some different, they made some changes, how things go at the end of the season. And I'm pretty sure NASCAR it's not near what it was. And maybe I'm wrong about that. I don't know. Have you guys been paying attention to this wrestling stuff? Wrestling, McMahon is back, and the stocks were already going way up, and then he joined, and then they went up more. And now oh my God, this stuff, I'm telling you guys, 83 weeks is where it's at, man. I love listening to Eric Bischoff and Conrad talk. I don't know. I'm addicted to that stuff. I don't ever listen to the full podcast. I always listen to the little cut up. I love the business side of all this. I love it. I think it's interesting. I think we all benefit all the way from coaching staff, players, fans, media, spectators, commentators, whatever. People who have shows on YouTube, we all benefit. I'm not here unless college athletics are as big as they are. I'm not able to do this. So I always look at it like, what's best for college athletics? What's best for the SEC? I believe, I don't like being stagnant at the top, which is where we've been, and I think the transfer portal has had an impact on that. I also think super seniors played a pretty big role in that. You look at Cincinnati last year. Super seniors played a role, but so did the transfer portal. So did the NIL. It played a role in getting teams like Cincinnati and TCU into the 4-team playoff. I think that's good for college football. I don't like being stagnant in any one area. I don't think the same teams in the middle of college football should always be the same teams in the middle of college football. I think every once in a while you should have a Tennessee, you should have Arkansas up there like they did in the Petrino era for a couple of years. Flirted around with it last year and maybe even this year, depending on how you want to look at it. But I like there being – I think that's what's good. I think that's kind of what is at least interesting for the NFL. I mean, the Bengals not that long ago were a shit show. Guys, I think they're going to the Super Bowl again. They were damn close winning it last year. The Rams were a shit show. They're in a larger market, but still, like, the Rams are a shit show. They make the right hire. They put together a hell of a roster. They surround Aaron Donald on defense with great players. Jalen Ramsey on the offensive side of the ball. McVay gets his guy in Stafford. Obviously, Cooper Kupp becomes a big star. I love that about the NFL, that every once in a while you do get a little bit of some different teams up near the top. Did have the Patriots for a while at the top, but that had a lot to do with Mr. Tom Brady, no matter how you feel about him. You saw him do it again at Tampa. But I think we need to focus more on, or just as much, on what's good for the game of college football. or college athletics. Not just the individual player, not just the team, not the coaching staff. For years it's been set up where the coaches get to do whatever the hell they want. That wasn't right. Why can't the players be afforded some of the same opportunities, right? Why can't they take place in that marketplace? Why can't they take place? Why can't they get an advantage? Why can't they have NIL? Of course they should. But we also have to think about what is good for the game of college or for the games of what they do at the college level and playing in college athletics. How do you put this all together and make it one thing where we all, not all, but most of us agree that it's a good product? College athletics is a hell of a product. March Madness, there's nothing like March Madness. That is my favorite time of the year. Sometimes it makes me wish I just had a March Madness channel. I may suck at my March poll or my brackets, but I still love trying to keep up with it and trying to keep up with all these teams, especially when the Hogs are involved, for sure. New AP poll is out. So are we ranked? Are we still ranked? We should be. We should just name this show Let's Talk About the Portal. And let's talk about making the game of college football better. Let's see. Yeah, Arkansas dropped. They're out of the top 25. I don't have a problem with it. I don't have a problem with it. Play like a ranked team before you're a ranked team. They're not a ranked team right now. Purdue number 1, Bama at 2, Houston at 3, Tennessee at 4, Kansas State at 5. Let's see. TCU moved up to 11th. KU all the way down to 9th. Oof. Auburn up to 15th in the country. Auburn is at 15th in the country, man. How do you guys feel about that? So how many SEC teams is that? 1, 2, 3. Just 3 SEC teams ranked. Am I seeing that right? Let's see. Bama, Tennessee, and Auburn. That's all I see. Baylor's up to 17th. Got Baylor coming up. Boy, look at the ACC. Miami, Clemson. Got Virginia in there. The Pac has UCLA, Kansas State. Okay. Interesting. Clemson's a bit of a surprise this year. Clemson being ranked in college basketball. That's 24th. I mean, I think they have the best record in the ACC last I looked. There you have it. All right. Dak Prescott needs to be removed from the Cowboys. Ooh. When you're NWO for life. That's right, man. Totally agree. Maybe having something to play for will motivate them. Yeah, they got to prove it. They're not a top 25 team. I don't have a problem with it. I really don't. I know some Hog fans are going to get triggered by that, but they're not a top 25 team. Just like I don't think they're a tournament team right now. We'll see if they get there. I think they're capable of it. Call me negative. I don't give a shit. I don't care. Never happy. Okay, whatever. I just call it like I see it, man. Maybe you're the one that's not happy. Maybe your expectations are just too high right now. Mine certainly seemed like they might have been. I thought this was for sure. I mean, of course, that was pre-injury, sure, whatever. But I thought for sure this team was a Final Four, Elite Eight team. Right now, they're having a hard time kind of figuring things out. Nick Smith, I think for a lot of different reasons. I think that guy wants to play. I'll tell you right now, I've heard that much. He wants to be on the floor. I think we've all seen what's been said out there. His dad calling into the radio show down in Little Rock, calling the buzz, telling him he wants to play. He's going to play. I think he wants to be out there. I think he wants to play, and hopefully they get him out there when he's ready. That's what matters. You don't want to pressure him. You don't want him to re-injure himself, really screw up his opportunity at the next level. But you want to see him in a Razorback jersey. It's funny. I seem to remember, and this is Rick Schaefer again brought this up. He had a great call with Josh Bernaccini this morning. I try to listen to about 15 minutes of radio a morning, either from Ty Richardson and Tommy Kraft, or I flip over to Josh Bernaccini. And Rick Schaefer called in. He brought up a really good point, and I remember this now. Joe Johnson was ineligible. Now I was in high school, I think, if I remember right. And I remember it being a big deal that Joe Johnson wasn't playing. Joe Johnson wasn't eligible until January. And the rest is kind of history, what happened after they were able to get Joe Johnson going. Like, clearly this team started to figure it out. You know, they won the SEC that year. Really good basketball team, but it took him a little while to kind of get into that groove. And when he brought that up, when Rick Schaefer brought that up, I thought, oh, my God, that's right. I remember that now. I remember him not playing that full year. His first year on campus, he wasn't eligible until, for whatever reason, he wasn't eligible until the next semester. I don't remember the reasoning. Rick Schaefer didn't bring it up, but Joe Johnson, and I believe that. I remember it's something. I thought it might have been an injury, but Rick Schaefer said he wasn't eligible, and so that makes sense. You know, and now you're in a similar situation with Nick Smith. He's not going to be the answer to all your prayers, but he is definitely going to provide you with some oomph, assuming they get him back. You know, I think he's back. I think he's going to come back. I think he's going to play. When? I don't know. I would love to see him ready to go for your first game of the month of February. Don't know if that's going to be the case. We've seen him shooting around before and after the game against Ole Miss. They need him, without a doubt. He's not going to be the answer to all your prayers. I think it's going to be a slow, you know, it's going to take a little bit of time to get him going. But who knows what this team can do with a fully healthy Nick Smith. And then maybe we could talk about them being ranked and where they're going to be at in terms of seeding. But I would have them at best right now on the bubble. That's where I'd put them. Thomas Nunley says, get the likes up. I haven't even asked you. Get the likes up! I see people saying Tuesday, but I know he's not playing. Yeah, I don't know. I don't see him playing. If I'm being honest, I don't know. Just based on the feedback we're getting from Musselman and what the media is telling us, I feel like it's going to be like a week or two into February maybe before they get him, you know, going fully. Nick has passion on the sidelines, all hog. I agree, Marcus. I agree. Locked on. Oh, you're talking about Neighbors? Locked on said he watched Nick Smith do a shoot around after Ole Miss. Yeah, he made. I saw that. Yeah. He made like 26 of 34. Yep. All right, that's going to do it. Now, really quick. We are in the I don't know what tomorrow night's going to look like. If we've got bad weather and we don't have a game, I think we'll be fine. I think Arkansas is going to play. I don't know how many people are going to travel to Northwest Arkansas to watch the Razorbacks play tomorrow. But that's 6 p.m. tip-off, right? Am I crazy on that? It's 6 p.m.? Yeah, 6 p.m. I love that time. I love it! A weeknight game. I plan on doing a post-game. There's no reason for me not to be able to do a post-game show, assuming we still have power. I mean, I don't know what, people are out there saying the weather's going to be horrendous. It's going to be really bad. We're going to have 4 inches or something. As long as I have power and I'm able to watch the game, I will be here for the post-game show. So just, we'll keep an eye on that. As far as I know, someone asked me that this morning. Do they have any plans of postponing the game? I don't think so. No. I mean, as far as I know, I don't think they do. I don't think it's supposed to get real bad till tomorrow, like late night. So at worst, I think what you're going to see is Fayetteville probably not have as many people inside Bud Walton. I think that could be your worst case scenario for Arkansas and LSU tip off. Also, in the coming months, I don't want to. I mean, I'm really forecasting pretty far out here, but in the coming months, we're going to start clearing out that garage. We think there's a good possibility sometime in March, maybe going into April, we're going to be able to start making the move to getting stuff out of that garage and start the process of turning that into a studio. I've been trying to do this for like the last 2 years. We've been trying to plan this thing out, and financially we just weren't able to. Looks like we might be able to it wasn't just financial, there's other stuff too, but just timing and trying to figure out. We got a lot of shit in that garage. There's a lot of shit in there. It's ridiculous. So we're going to make some space up in the attic. We're going to get some stuff thrown up there. We're going to try and clear out this garage, and I'm hoping by the summer we've got a full on studio in behind me. The garage is adjacent to this room, and this will become my 8-year-old's. This will become her room. A lot of memories in here, but we got to pump the brakes. We don't know for sure, but you may see some changes in the coming months. May not happen again until March, maybe April, but that is the goal. That is the next goal for this channel. Not only do we want to get, and maybe we'll, look, we got 1 million views coming up. We're at like almost 950,000 total views. That's incredible. That is unbelievable. Probably would have been there sooner had I not, made a couple of moves. One of them worked out horribly. The other one worked out really well. Hogville was I loved my time with Hogville. But probably would have hit that 1 million views sooner. But hey, it'd be cool to hit the 1 million views and then to be in the studio, or to hit the 1 million views in this room right before we go to the studio. That'd be pretty magical, wouldn't it? But yeah. Anyways, all right. I do appreciate you guys. Tighten up, Ty. What does that mean? What does that mean? Tighten up. While you're cleaning out garages, come work on mine. Yeah, right. You're gonna pay me, Austin? How about that? I don't know. What does tighten up, Ty? What do you mean tighten up? Talking to me? I got to tighten up? What do I got to tighten up? But anyways, we're I'm hoping to get moved back there sooner than later. Getting that garage, getting it transformed. I've got to replace the garage door. We all know who I'm going to call on for that. Direct service. I wouldn't call anybody else. Direct service overhead will be, hopefully, we'll be swapping out my garage door for a thicker one that's a little bit more soundproof. We try to soundproof that room, turn it into like a real studio or something close to it. Anyways, really looking forward to that, man. That's been a goal. Hitting the 1 million views is a big deal, but also getting that turned into a studio is a big deal too. Clean that garage out. Yeah, man. You want to come help me, Brian? Hey, I'm up at Springdale, baby. You want to come give me a hand? I might blindfold you guys, bring you out to my house, and let you help me clear out that damn garage. It's a mess. I'm not even playing. All right, I will be live tomorrow night. Look forward to seeing you guys. Be safe if you're going to the game. Please be safe. Be careful. If you're local, maybe call an Uber. You don't want to mess around in this weather. Have someone else mess around in this weather, not you. And if you're an Uber driver, please take care of yourself. All right, Woo Pig. Oh, I guess I got to put in my prediction. Yeah, I'm taking the Hogs. I'm taking the Hogs by – I was accurate on 12 over Ole Miss. I think the Razorbacks, they have a chip on their shoulder. They want revenge. LSU could be walking into a hornet's nest. Fans in Bud Walton, even if there's only 10,000, it's going to be loud. For LSU. I think Arkansas wins. I'm going to say like 15. I'll say 14. I went 12. We'll go up to 14. I think Arkansas wins. It's going to be a bad offense. I mean, offensively, LSU should not break 75 on Arkansas. But let's say LSU 70, Arkansas. Do they break 84? They've struggled a little bit. They've been inconsistent. Ricky Council kind of fell off, and he was benched in the second half against Ole Miss. And Arkansas asked Anthony Black to really step up. Walsh just kind of stepped up lately. Do they break 80 against LSU? I'm going to say, yeah, 84-70 Arkansas. That's my pick. I think Arkansas comes out with a little extra pep in their step. Maybe a soft opening, maybe a typical first half for Arkansas, but then they spread things out in the second half on the scoreboard. They find a way. So they had a 21-point lead over Ole Miss. Maybe they can do something like that against LSU and hang on to it for a little bit. We'll see. Looking for improvement here. Big game, big opportunity for Arkansas to get a 2-game win streak in conference play. We'll see if they can do it. Woo Pig, and I'll see you guys tomorrow night.